Hello everyone, today I'll be showing you my journey from Bahrain all the way to Philippines under the MECQ. Hopefully you enjoy. So what I'm showing you right now is the Bahrain airport, and that's my commentary. To give you some information on the Bahrain airport, some of the shops are operational, though in comparison to previous years, some shops are non-operational as of now. And furthermore, the Wi-Fi there is only available to you for 45 minutes. And once your 45 minutes are over, then you don't have Wi-Fi anymore. And on the plane, they gave us this yellow form that we had to answer. And it mostly asks for your flight details, your residency in the Philippines, as well as the name of the hotel that you would be staying in for the quarantine. Aside from that, it mostly asks for your personal information, such as passport, first name, middle name, last name, and whatnot. So I would advise you all to bring a pen, since there will be more forms that we have to answer later on during the journey to Philippines. Once we arrived in the Philippines, we were just moving on forward, and soon after we were stopped and placed into a line by Coast Guards. For my situation, we were placed into two lines because the plane was full and there were a lot of passengers. So in these two lines, there were two Coast Guards that were categorizing us from OFWs and those who were DOTs. And after we were categorized, we will be placed into another line for the swab test. And for my situation, I was placed into the DOT line. To give you some more information on this, those who are in the DOT line would have to pay 4,500 pesos for their swab test. Though if you're an OFW, then you can go to the OFW line. Although if you're an OFW, you can go to the OFW line and you will have your swab test for free, as well as family members. Though if your parents are OFWs but you're not, and your parents are not with you, then you will not be allowed to go to the OFW line, and instead you will be placed into the DOT line. Furthermore, from my experience, the line for OFWs is much larger than the DOT line, and from what I can tell you, there's pretty much no one in the DOT line, so I didn't have to wait as long. After that, I was placed into another waiting area where I would have to fill out another form for the swab test. And in my experience, this was one of the longer processes in my entire journey to Philippines under MECQ. And in this clip, I was placed into another queue. And fortunately, this is the last queue that you would have to wait in to get your swab test. The first counter will be taking the form from you. And in the first counter, you also have to pay 4,500 pesos for your swab test. On the second, third, and fourth counter, they will be reviewing the form that you gave. And right after this, they would be sending you over to the swab test area. And this was one of the shorter processes that has happened during my journey. Right after the swab test, you would be going over to immigration. Though before that, you would have to take a card and answer it. And just like the yellow card, it mainly asks for your residency, your passport number, where you will be quarantined, your contact number, email address, full name, and whatnot. And right after answering that form, there would be another line, though this one would be much shorter than the others. And then right after that, you could go get your bags. And this would be the last step of our journey, which is exiting the airport. Before exiting the airport, though, you would have to go in the line. Then the Coast Guards would categorize you into sea-based, land-based, or DOT. And for me, I was a DOT, so I had to go to the DOT line, which was significantly much shorter than the other lines. Then, while I was in this line, a Coast Guard gave me a form, which was pretty much a pledge that was saying that I agree to quarantine myself, and if I ever break any of said agreements in the paper, I would be criminally liable under a certain penal code, but I'm not sure if that's the correct term. To further give background on this process, once I had finished my pledge or the form and I gave it to the proper people in charge of it, they showed me a list of hotels that were quarantine facilities, and I could choose from any one of them. Though in my situation, I had already booked a quarantine facility online, so they just kindly gave me so they just asked me for the booking confirmation. So they just asked me for my booking confirmation, and that was pretty much it. And they had the Coast Guard lead me, or rather guide me, towards an exit, and asked if I already had a transport planned or if I wanted to be transported in any other way to my quarantine facility, though I already had a transport planned in my case. And then I was able to go out, and here's a clip of my trip going to my quarantine facility, which was the Red Hotel Cubao, Quezon City. To give you my experience of the Red Hotel Cubao, Quezon City quarantine facility, it was a very pleasant experience, especially since I was expecting it to be very horrible since quarantine. Though it was very pleasant, and they already had a water boiler with some coffee packs and sugar packs with it, as well as outlets which have different types of sockets, and you could pretty much place any other plug into these sockets. Furthermore, the food was great. I mostly had a complimentary breakfast, and I had the choices of longanisa and tocino, and it's very pleasant here. And that sums up my experience in the quarantine facility, which is the Red Hotel Cubao, Quezon City.